Coming to you live after quite the hiatus. It's the boys from Believe in the South Side. I am Steve-O. You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Shy Sox Fan. I never hit live.
I was just going to say, I was like,
Coming to you live after quite the hiatus and a little bit of internet problems again. This time on my end. It's the Believe in the South Side boys. Joining you on this end, it is Steve-O. You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Shy Sox Fan. And joining me, my co-host.
What's going on, Steve? How you doing? Married man, Steve? That's right. You are now a married man. You are now off the market forever. So
my dong is not community property any longer.
Not. What's going on though? It's your boy Cary. You can find me on Twitter at that baseball fan. And we got a lot to say. We've been gone a while. But yeah, I just wanted to start it out first by saying, Steve, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know I couldn't make it.
Yes.
But you'll be at mine. So hopefully you can make it then. But I just want to say congratulations. I saw a lot of pictures and I saw, people, different posts, and it looked like you had a good time. And it looks like you were trying to be one of my people. And I can appreciate that.
Did you see the video?
Oh, I saw the video because I follow Mendelson on Instagram, yes. And I saw that you got lifted up in a chair and you guys did the horror. So, it gave you a little taste of what it really is, but just wait for mine with an actual big Jewish wedding. It's kind of crazy. It intimidated my friend once that he had to leave because he was very scared. So
absolutely. So, yeah.
I
almost got thrown out of the chair the first time. I really almost did.
If you do it again, it'll happen. My bar mitzvah and the family's bar mitzvah, same thing. You're going to fall out of that chair. It's just inevitable. So, but I wanted to make sure I gave you congratulations before we started any baseball talk.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Cary. And I'm sad you were unable to join us. I know you would have definitely been helping lead the horror.
Of course, the fiance got COVID too. So I'm like,
I know. So are you're camped out alone right now, or what's going on?
I am not in quarantine. I am good. I don't have anything wrong with me. And she's going to be back this weekend. So I've had the house to myself for 2 weeks now.
Wow.
I don't know what to do.
Well, great time for us to finally record a recap of the end of the White Sox season here on Believe in the South Side. For those of you that don't follow us already on Instagram as well as on Twitter, we are at Believe, BLEAV, Southside. So you can follow us on there. And we're wherever you catch your podcast. So whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're even live on YouTube with every single episode we have. And yes, Brian, I question that sometimes too. I don't know if there's anything not wrong with Cary, but at least he's healthy. So we're good to record this episode. My voice is still a little hoarse from the wedding, just from all the yelling and, getting excited. And yes, maybe something that you alluded to there. But let's talk White Sox baseball, Cary. The White Sox obviously fell flat on their face at the end. 12 games back of first.
Yeah, that's 11 games. I just checked right before this. So, you know what? Good. 11 games. Good. Just good.
Yeah.
To Cleveland. So
So we'll talk about heads that should be called for in a minute here, but obviously we'll hop right into it and say that Tony La Russa is no longer the manager of our Chicago White Sox. Cary, is there a God?
There is a God, but he's only half formed right now with the White Sox. There's a true God if Rick Hahn is fired, and I will believe in Jesus if Jerry Reinsdorf sells the team. I will convert. So like I I it's begun, right? So Tony's gone. It's the minimum of what we can get that we ask for. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we
Right.
know Rick, and we're going to talk about Rick later, that he's not going to go anywhere, but Tony's gone. Thank fucking God.
Yeah. Long overdue. Just think about what Toronto did this year. Think about what the Phillies did this year. Think about what the Angels did this year. I mean, you had teams that had pretty high expectations, or at least expectations that they were going to improve. And the White Sox did not do that. They did the exact opposite and regressed heavily. So looking at it, Cary, obviously Tony La Russa out of the picture. Does this, so obviously you said this, that, the whole, there is a God comment here, does this move the needle for you at all in regards to hope for the White Sox going into next year?
I think it's too early to say that. While I do think managers and a different approach can make some sort of an impact, it also comes down to roster construction.
Yeah.
And we have first baseman and DH. That's everybody, Oh, we have a shortstop. He used to be a first baseman, like that's Rick Hahn, right? So I think it's too early to say, but I think it's the needle's moving, right? It's teetering. So
100%. I don't know if this does everything for me. I mean, it's not the end all be all, getting rid of Tony La Russa. But for me, I think about the White Sox as a whole. And I think about when Tony La Russa was hired, it brought a lot of animosity for ownership and for the front office out of this fan base.
mm-hmm.
And some of that now can be retracted, I think, and some of that can be, a little bit of hope replaces that frustration, right? At least for me, because obviously there were redeeming qualities of 2021. The White Sox won the division for the first time in 13 years. The White Sox made the playoffs despite only winning one game. So basically doing what they did in 08 and basically doing what they did the year prior. But think about that second half of the season, right? The White Sox were the first team to clinch a playoff spot in 2020. And in 2021, they got off to an incredible start. And then they were a 500 ball club, right? If
They've
I'm
been
not
a 500
mistaken.
ball club since literally with how the
Since the
season
All-Star
ended.
break,
They've
right?
been since the last year All-Star break a 500 team, like exactly. Like
And with
they're
how much
500.
talent is on this team, as we talk about,
No
right?
reason for
It
it.
should not be that way. There's too much young talent, and there has been too much opportunity in the last 2 years. And I think what Brian means here, and I hope this is what Brian means here in the comments, a regular listener, a guy, Brian, it does nothing. Firing Tony or I should say ceremoniously getting rid of Tony, does nothing. Fix the damn roster. You've got the right young core pieces in place. It's all about supplementing, in my opinion.
But how long have we been saying that? Since 2020 when the window opened, right? I mean, it's been the same thing, right? You've had your left fielder. I don't care what people say. Eloy plays left field. He does, okay? He's going to continue to play left field unless you kind of do what you did with him this year and switch off with DH, right? But you have a left fielder, you have a second base, a center fielder, you have your third baseman, shortstop, right? You have a first baseman, a catcher. You've had two positions you've needed for like 2 or 3 years now, and nothing's been done. Nothing. Zero. The answer to that's been put Andrew Vaughn out there, put Gavin Sheets out there. That's not the right answer if you're gonna really want to contend and be winners. That's not a winning move. Adam Eaton's not a winning move. Nomar Mazara, not a winning move. I mean, AJ Pollock was better in theory, but
The thing is,
he didn't perform as well though. So what have they really done?
and AJ Pollock hasn't been a regular everyday starter since 2016, right?
Exactly. So
The
it's
White
like,
Sox need to put in
so you just
pieces
proved me right. They fucked up again.
that are regular everyday starters in the gaps that they have, right? Even Josh Harrison
He
in
was fine.
the solid season that he had at second base is not a regular everyday player. He's a guy that you're supposed to be able to pull off your bench and be really good. And the problem is the guys who the White Sox have that are your quote unquote bench guys, the guys you want to be able to pull off your bench and be really good, aren't. Adam Engel is not that.
No, he sucks.
Leury Garcia is
Sucks.
not that. Sebi Zavala is not that. And even if he
Average.
overachieved his expectations this year, he's not that.
Mhm.
God, I mean, Nomar Mazzara in the past years, right? Adam Eaton. I mean, these are
Well
guys
past their
that
prime, Adam Eaton.
these are guys who shouldn't make if you're a contender, these are guys who shouldn't make your 26-man roster.
No, and they
So
only
to
should.
me, it's not the big guys. It's not the big hitters. It's not your everyday starters. It's how you supplement it, right? Your Loys are going to get hurt. Your Luises are going to get hurt. Your Yasmanis are going to get hurt. Okay, fine. Then go out and get the guys that are going to be, 10 million a pop a year that can really make a difference down the stretch. I mean, AJ Pollock is that guy, but he's not a guy who's going to give you 150 games anymore.
No. And he hasn't for a while. I mean,
like I said, since 2016.
And I've been seeing this a lot on Twitter the past couple of days is about Liam Hendricks, right? I liked the move. Don't get me wrong, but I still always questioned it because I said, typical White Sox, spending a lot of money, but in the wrong fucking spot. It's not an everyday player. That's not $56 million. Come on, like Ronaldo Lopez would be fine at closer. You could have thrown Garrett Crochet in there the past few years, or Kopech. Like, I'm not saying to trade Liam. Okay, I love Liam Hendricks. He's
elite.
Out.
He's an elite closer, but you
100%.
don't sign. You don't, even if they're elite, you don't sign.
You trade for them.
Those long of deals, right?
Yes,
you
and
go
you
trade for them, and you save your capital prospect for that, right?
Exactly, and it pissed me off because I'm like, there's other players on the mark. There's a Kyle Schwarber out there. There's Chuck, like for cheap too. Like just do it. See what happens with these guys, and they just never did. They wanted to please the fan base, right? And they just got the wrong people. And it's continuously, it's just the story of Rick Hahn as a GM. I looked at his record as a GM, by the way.
Oh, it's
don't look at that shit.
It's
below,
terrible.
well below 500.
Well below 500. It might
Horrible.
not even be 440.
And in his prime years,
yeah,
one playoff win.
Two, right? They had the one in Oakland.
Did they?
They had one game in Oakland. They won. They lost 2 out of 3 to Oakland.
Okay,
right?
Sorry, 2.
But still, shit, garbage
in a Mickey Mouse season. So yeah.
I
mean,
well, speaking of Mickey Mouse seasons, that's a perfect transition. Let's talk about our Mickey Mouse MVP, Jose Abreu himself. And I should not have started with that because I have to say this first and foremost. Jose Abreu, despite him basically being all but gone as all but done forever as a Chicago White Sox, at least as a player, I have to appreciate what he's done for this team throughout the years, and he's been a glimmer of hope in all of the shit. However, I want to hear your initial thoughts and reactions about the White Sox at the end of this 2022 season departing ways with Jose Abreu, as it's been reported.
I don't know how to think. It's like losing, like, I don't know how to, I can't like think of a comparable, but it's like losing something. Just you're about to lose somebody you've loved for what? Since 2014?
Almost a decade. Yeah. 9
almost
seasons.
A decade, right? It's like losing Konerko was the same thing, but you're like, I think this needs to happen. Like if the Sox were shitty and didn't have the roster they did, like if they had a 2013 White Sox roster, I would be okay with bringing Abreu back, right? I think Jose Abreu is better off for himself if he wants to win a ring, going to like a team like the Mets. That's gonna be like a good, like he's the last piece they need. You know what I'm saying? He's not your he's a 50, he hit 15 home runs. That's it. I mean, like that,
Mhm.
but he was great in like his OBP, like everything besides homers went up, right? And homers and RBI. So like, I think he's got to go, right? Just to get on with it. I think he's got to go. I think it's time, right? Unless you trade Andrew Vaughn, right? You would have to do that first. So that's why I don't understand these reports. Why would they like play their hand like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if you do trade Vaughn? If you trade Vaughn, right? You better get a good return. And Jose's not here, but you better get a lefty to replace Jose Abreu and Vaughn.
Yeah, and it's hard, and I
Let's
agree
go.
with you, Cary. It's like it's like losing that family member that has been so dear to you. And of course, we got our guy Senior here in the comments. Got to beware those imitators. Here's what has to be kept in perspective. If it was a short-term deal for Abreu, it was going to be well over, and by well over, I mean probably closer to 25 than $20 million for a year.
I don't know.
And you just can't do it.
You're the White Sox. You can't do that.
On a Jerry Reinsdorf owned team, you cannot do it.
And with
on a Rick Hahn
yeah.
GM team, you cannot do it because that money is wrapped up in Yasmani Grandal and Liam Hendricks right now. Okay?
Yeah.
I love Jose. And yes, I've heard, Jose followed the hitting approach this year that was given to the team, and he succeeded at it. I don't care. He's a veteran. He knows how to hit. He knows how to hit bombs. He's been a power hitter his whole life, and those power numbers are down. You also invested a number 3 overall pick in a first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not sold on that number 3 overall pick first baseman, like filling that seat, like, I mean, you have
There's
to.
more
you
problems.
have to buy in.
You
have to buy in.
It's like trading your second baseman that you drafted the year before that, right? Granted, he sucks, but like, what are we doing? Like, I totally get your point. If you don't believe in Vaughn, right? What are you doing with Jose? I mean, and you got to let him go too, because it's not worth it. So what do you do if you're Rick Hahn at this point? What do you do?
And personally, I think this is the move the organization needs to make. Unfortunately, and because you are first baseman heavy. You are first baseman heavy. You've got Gavin Sheets, who right now, in my opinion, should be trade bait. You should have sold high on Sheets last year. So you should have done. Because now he's a negative 0.7 WAR player after this year. Yes, I just don't get it with the roster construction. A number 3 overall pick in Andrew Vaughn. I mean, you either need to develop him as an elite hitter, like shit, or get off the pot. And I know Jose is going to be missed. That is ridiculous, Brian.
No, it's because that's a joke, because he actually meant that once, and me and him went at it.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Jose is going to be missed, but as our guy Senior says, but
Luis,
it is, yes, no government names. It's going to free up that money for the White Sox to do what they need to do in free agency this year. At least some of it, it frees that up, right? So with that 20 plus in a year being freed up in possibly the last year of your window, Cary, what are you doing? If you are in Rick Hahn's seat, even with all these bad moves that have already been made.
I've thought about this, right? I think you let Jose go. This is what I would do if I was GM. Okay, you can roast me if you think it's stupid. And I was just texting my friend who's a Mets fan, because he's like distraught right now, And I'm like, yeah, DeGrom's gone. Edwin Diaz is gone, because I'm just being a dick because he was asking me where the
of
White
course.
Sox were for the playoffs.
Right.
So I'm like, Nemo's ours, not happening. But what I
Not
think
happening?
no. What I think is going to happen is Sox are going to sign Conforto because he's cheaper. Okay. Hope for a bounce back year. I'm okay with that because Conforto's better than any of the guys that they've gotten, and he's a lefty. Okay.
Right.
Sign Josh Bell. Okay.
Okay.
That's your first baseman or DH.
Even though you've got
Trade
guys that are already
Andrew
there, right?
Vaughn. Trade Andrew Vaughn and try to get the best pitching asset that you can get on the market.
Okay.
I've heard people and seen people
Zach
say
Gallen.
Zach Gallen. Like, I would love that. Are you kidding me? Ask Miami, maybe, right? Hey, Miami, you got Sandy Alcantara? I mean, I don't know if that's even realistic. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's what I would do for that position, right? Because I think what they got to do if they really want to change things, right? Go get a starting pitcher high in the market. Because imagine if your like pitching rotation was like Gallen, Cecil Gallen, 1-2. It's dirty,
So
And
here's
at
my
first
problem
base,
with
though,
that.
you have
Go ahead.
you have Josh Bell, okay, at first base, and you sign a guy like Conforto, right? For DH, I can't believe I'm saying this.
So you're keeping Andrew Vaughn in the outfield?
No.
Oh, no,
Andrew
he's
Vaughn's
traded.
gone. Andrew Vaughn's gone. I'm letting Gavin Sheets be a DH full time.
That's scary. Like,
is it though? I mean, he's just as powerful as Andrew Vaughn was, basically. And the second half of the season, he was actually a decent ball player. I hate to say it.
yeah, I mean, he can hit right-handers. That's for sure.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
there's
Vaughn
no way
will not
that,
get you a 3.
No, he's got to at least get you a 2.
Brian's
Come on,
he's getting you a rock solid 2. He's like Andrew Vaughn's
Frankie
already.
Montes.
Montes, get the fuck out of here. But I could see that. Like, I would love Nemo or Conforto, right? Sign him, right? But this isn't what's going to happen, because we know what Rick Hahn's going to do.
But why not? The White Sox have
Because
failed
it's
miserably
not
at
what
getting
they do.
right fielders.
It's not
they
what
have
they
failed
do.
miserably at just getting outfielders in general.
Have you seen the Flex Seal commercials when he just slaps that shit on the tub and just says, "There you go, it's patched up"? That's fucking Rick Hahn. He's the Flex Seal guy. I need somebody to like Photoshop that, and I'm just going to use that as my profile picture. Rick Hahn is the Flex Seal guy. He's literally just patches shit up, just temporary fix, not a permanent fix. So that's why he won't do what me and you would probably do. And I'm not saying we're smarter than Rick Hahn. I'm just saying, like,
we might be.
Who knows? He's probably going to go sign another reliever and be like, "Here you go. Here's a top reliever." It's like, fuck you, man. But if they want to get creative, and he said more in trades than anything, you got to sign at least one guy, even if it's Jock Peterson for cheap. Like, just sign one outfielder. Don't care if it's Jock. Don't care if it's Conforto, Nemo, whoever. He has to be lefty, and you have to replace Vaughn and Bell with a guy like Josh Bell, who is young still and can rake.
30's not terribly young, but sorry,
for first
Cary,
baseman,
rub
he's
that
good
into
for
your
another
face
4
too.
years.
You old ass.
I'm not 30 either. I'm 31.
Exactly, old ass. So I'll say this much: if there's one thing that this season has taught us, Cary, what does this lineup need more than anything?
Lefty bats.
A lefty bat that can particularly play where? And I know you just put yourself in the outfield. Why Brandon Nimmo doesn't get the fucking bag from Jerry Reinsdorf would be beyond me. Because right now you've got Eloy in left, who is a goddamn nuisance. You have AJ Pollock, who either you let him walk for 10 mil or you pay him 13 million. So you're paying him to stay. And AJ Pollock showed some longevity this year. I got to give it to him, but he was still
Mm-mm.
not on his high levels because he was being overused. You've got Luis, who has yet to stay healthy throughout a whole season. And I'm hoping he is able to stay healthy throughout a whole season because, like you said in the comments of Beef Loaf's post earlier, if that guy could stay healthy and if he had better development, he might be an MVP somewhere else. That's
Yeah,
how much talent
100%.
that guy has. Okay,
It's like our whole team.
you've got, and then you're throwing Sheets and Vaughn out there regularly. Name a game this year when you didn't see Gavin Sheets or Andrew Vaughn playing outfield. Two of the worst defensive outfielders in the league.
Yeah.
Who, because they're not outfielders.
No, they're first basemen. It's disgusting. And the thing is about Brandon Nimmo, he could play center field. You could even put Luis in right to put less stress on that man's body. You could.
Right.
If you sign a Nimmo.
Right. And right there as well in the comments, Brian, if they move Liam or if they move Graveman or if they move Kelly or somebody.
It's not happening.
Which would be extremely difficult, but Liam would be the one because he's the he's the most sought after one.
Yeah,
he might be able to pay.
It's not going to happen. It's just not
There's
a White Sox
so
move.
much fucking money in that bullpen.
Oh, I get it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and they sucked. Watch them have like a bounce back year because they like get Bummer and Crochet
20th in ERA, I think.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I
and it was all righty
heavy.
That was another problem too. It was all righty heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you get Crochet back, and then you got Bummer. You know, if that man could even stay healthy, they could have a good bullpen. But who gives a shit? That's not what you need to focus on. Sign Brandon
Those guys
Nimmo.
don't touch the field every day. You got to sign guys that touch the field every day.
I don't even need Brandon Nimmo. We just sign Jock Peterson. Like literally, just sign Jock Peterson. Just sign somebody who they should have right.
Yeah, who they should have traded for at the deadline or signed the year before that or signed in the offseason. Like there were multiple times to get Jock Peterson. And they decided not to.
He blamed someone on Twitter that's why like the trade. Fuck off, Rick. You're just not a good GM. Like,
yeah, and here's another thing too. The pitching. Here's the thing that we found out about the White Sox pitching. Whether they get into the cat's lab and figure it out, or we find a fucking one-trick pony, no pun intended, with Johnny Cueto, those guys are around. Mm-hmm. Those guys are around. You cannot find guys like Brandon Nimmo around. So go out there and put your nuts on the table. And don't extend guys like Larry Garcia, like it's been said on this podcast a million times. All right, Cary, I know we're close to a half hour, but I still want to keep talking White Sox baseball.
Yeah,
that's cool with you.
Yeah, no, let's go. I'm
all
home alone.
What I want to do, I'm going to go down the list of guys that either the White Sox can re-sign or not re-sign this year, and hear your thoughts on those guys, if that works. I had that tab up and then I completely lost it. So I'm going to start with some guys who they can give, that are not unrestricted free agents, that are guys that have arbitration. So first and foremost.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
If like should be non-tendered or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Start with Reynaldo Lopez. What are your thoughts on Raylo?
Absolutely. Going to arbitration with him, and he's probably going to get what he wants. He was excellent. He might have solidified himself as a future closer even. Like that, nobody hit home runs off that guy.
I mean, it's true. I would absolutely do the same. I heard even extending, like giving him an extension might be an idea. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Not yet. We don't have the money for that.
Right, exactly. I would much rather see the money spent elsewhere.
In the field, on a fielder. Yeah.
Correct. The next one, Kyle Crick. You got to let him go, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no point. What's the point of a Kyle Crick unless he signs like a minor league deal? I mean, no, he's gone. And he was decent, and there's another reason why I want him gone too, because a certain somebody likes him, so I want him just absolutely gone.
Is that certain someone possibly of the same tribe, Cary?
No.
Oh,
half.
No?
But
okay.
no.
Half. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
So,
Lucas Giolito. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not throwing Dylan Cease in there because that's an obvious one.
yeah.
Lucas Giolito. What do you want to do about Lucas Giolito, Cary? Worst pitcher in baseball.
Was he considered the worst pitcher
Not
in
really.
baseball this year?
I'm reciting that stupid.
Oh, I said he was the worst.
Worst pitcher in baseball.
They're not going to non-tender him. That's not what the White Sox do. And OPS is racist. They're gonna probably go to arbitration with him. He's not gonna. I don't. Fuck. I hate it though because I think this is the year he starts making decent money in arbitration.
It's gonna be over 10 mil.
Yeah, he's not worth. I mean, like he could be worth that. He absolutely could be worth that. But I think you might have to package him in a deal.
Let me run this down for you. Your ace is Cease. Your 2 is next year's Lynn.
Unless you package a deal like a Vaughn and Giolito.
Right. Oh, okay. So let's go Cease, Lynn, Kopech, Gio? Question mark. It's a solid 4, and you're only paying him 10 mil. I mean, pardon me. Solid 4 is a stretch. I'll say this: he has very great potential to be an amazing 4, or even a very good 3.
He has the potential to be a great 2. We've seen it, but he just sucks this year. I think he's a guy that's going to have a bounce back year and he'll figure it out. And I think he's going to lose some weight and stuff like that. So maybe he should join the weight loss challenge too with everybody. But like I think he'll bounce back. I think he's going to pitch for the White Sox next year.
I think so too. Because where on the market are you going to get somebody that's had any sort of remote success for $10 million for a starting pitcher these days? You just can't, unless you're pulling off of the
Johnny Cueto's
like Johnny Cueto. Yeah, exactly. Which leads me to the next one. You want to re-sign Cueto?
No, I think he'll cost too much because he's like, well, I'm going to come back. I don't want no.
So are you putting your faith in Davis Martin and Garrett Crochet? As Brian would say here, they would be the 5.
I mean, let's say hypothetically they trade Vaughn and Giolito in a trade, right?
Hypothetically. I still don't see it happening.
Cease. I could see it happening. They say they get a Cease and they get a top line starter, right? Those are 1, 2. Lynn and Kopech is your 4 or 5.
Be nice.
I mean, you're 3 and 4. That's more than nice, right? That's when you can sign a guy even cheaper than a Cueto, right? And there's guys out there that you can do that.
Reynaldo Lopez.
No, Reynaldo Lopez is in your bullpen, but there's cheap guys that you can get for like a year, that are like like Sean Manaea might even be a bounce back candidate, because he had a pretty shitty year, there's guys like that on the market. There's the Tyler Andersons, Kyle Gibson, even, Wade Miley out even take like guys like that you can get stuff out of that can be a 5. So
fair enough. Before I transition to guys out in the field, there has to be one more pitcher on
Jimmy Lambert stinks as a starter. Sorry,
he's got options though, right? He's got to at this point. Yeah, he's under team control. So that's not even an issue. Let's hop to a couple guys in the field that I wanted to ask you questions about. The first one, and talking about washed up old guys off the scrap pile, but overperformed in a White Sox uniform. Elvis Andrus. What were obviously I can't even ask you your thoughts on Elvis Andrus this year because he was great.
Yeah.
For the
great
Sox,
for us. Gotta go.
Just let him go.
He's gone. There's no reason. He's never played second base before. You don't know if he's going to repeat and hit 10 home runs like he did. Like, you just don't know. I'd rather have Josh Harrison back.
Fair. I agree. Josh Harrison?
I'd rather have him back at second base. Like, if you don't get a lefty second baseman, which there's like none, get a guy that's actually good. And he was league-wide average, I think, WRC plus for second
Hey,
baseman was like
what if I told you the White Sox have that lefty second baseman already? Unfortunately,
who? His name's not Yohan Moncada. Just stop.
his name's Leary
Okay.
Legend.
No, get the fuck out of here. He's got to go. He's
I
got to go too.
unfortunately our beloved GM threw money at this guy, a guy who would not make
You
most
have to eat the
26 man
money.
rosters.
Sorry.
I know, right? It has to be the Dallas Keuchel type, right? Where you're eating the money.
He's
I would
so
love
bad.
to see them eat the money and then go just throw that money.
You don't need to sign
at
somebody.
Josh Harrison.
You don't need to. You can bring Josh Harrison back because he's cheap. I think he's like $5-6 million.
Right.
You don't need Larry Garcia. You have
No,
Romy
of course
Gonzalez. You have guys that are better. You have Jose Rodriguez coming up. You have like who's the other guy that
The problem is
came up,
you're bringing
Sosa.
up infielders. Backup outfielders is an issue, right?
Is it
Injuries,
like,
right?
Yeah, but like,
Well, actually, it
you
isn't
can-
because let's talk about Oscar Colas, right?
yeah, you could bring up Oscar Colas. He's got to be ready. Oh, you know what's funny?
That he's going to be on your opening day roster.
Yeah, he's our opening day right here. I totally forgot about that. That's what I should have said. Is they're probably going to do the cheap thing, put him at right field, okay, and then they're going to sign like a DH. That's what they're going to totally do.
Or they finally move Eloy to DH, which is what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
You've got Gavin Sheets as a bench option, and then you finally go sign Brandon Nimmo, which is what I'm fucking praying for.
I would love.
It just makes too much sense. It makes too much sense, right?
That'd be that right there. I'd be fine with, because then you have like Nimmo and Colas who are lefties, and then you can say fuck you to Abreu. Sorry, Abreu stands, and go still sign Josh Bell or a lefty, to play DH, because then you can keep Vaughn. Like they
100%.
can get creative, but it's
Vaughn is their starting first baseman this year. I mean, I hate to tell it to everybody, he is their starting first baseman this year. All of these comments and the confirmations that we've received from Bob Nightingale. I'm sorry, I'm dying right now at Senor's comments. Unbelievable, Luis. Yeah, exactly. Seat at the table for Nimmo. Here's David Peralta. Thank you.
That's good.
Exactly. Who we wanted at the deadline, right? Like, we're so cheap as White Sox fans. We've allowed it. We've said, we're okay. We're okay. We're really okay with David Peralta. And Han's like, no, I know that's what you really want. So here's Jake Diekman.
Oh, and that guy's back next year too.
He's back for multiple years.
Just
multiple fucking years of control. No, I can't make this up. I think he's on. I think
it's this year or next year. He's done after next year. Trust me.
No, Jake Diekman has a club option going into 24.
Yeah, club option. They can say fuck off.
But it's $4 million. That's cheap for Rick Hahn. It's cheap for Rick Hahn. He's going to do it.
Yeah, you're right. They'll probably be. He's probably like, you know what?
Might be looking at Craig Kimbrell off the scrap pile too. An option for 24 with a buyout. So
he didn't even make the roster.
I know. It's so well. Hey, that's what good teams do. They say, hey, we're going to take a chance on this guy because he's a future Hall of Famer who's still, might have.
Out if he doesn't, he doesn't.
Exactly. It's what good front offices that are willing to fucking spend money and are willing to take risks on older guys because their prospects are not everything that they bank off of, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Something to keep in mind. We have been banking off of Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson to be the backbone of everything that you do in their mid-20s.
That's why Harper would have helped. What?
Exactly. 1,000%. Or Machado. But yeah.
Either one of those guys.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'd much rather give a turkey club than a club option to
By the way, I'm going to one-up you. We're not even going to get a David Peralta. That's too much money. You're going to get a Cole Calhoun, and you're going to fucking like it.
You're going to get a Dexter Fowler, and you're going to like it.
He's retired.
Chicago. Oh, is he officially retired at this point?
You're going to get a Jason Hayward and like it.
Exactly. 1,000%. There was one more position player that I wanted to run by you, and now I'm trying to find it because
is it Adam Engel?
It is Adam fucking Engel.
I
Thank you
knew it.
so much. Here's
Gotta
the thing.
go.
Thank you. It's poverty mindset to
Gotta
keep
go.
around Adam Engel, right?
He's gotta go. There's no reason for him.
I mean, it's poverty mindset, is it not?
He's not even he's a good fielder. He's not the amazing plus defender that he used to be he doesn't have the same speed and he can't hit.
Exactly.
Doesn't even
Exactly.
hit lefties anymore. That was his specialty. Remember when he crushed lefties?
Yep.
Now he's not even doing that, so it's not even worth it.
Right. I mean, you just can't keep around guys that are basically negative WAR or 0 WAR players. You either have to not re-sign them or cut your losses.
64 OPS plus.
It's absurd. That's absolutely absurd. And he's not good enough defensively to keep around. I mean, he's not. Here's the thing. And usually guys who are that good defensively, they have another tool. Like speed.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Hamilton, right? Had speed. Adam Engel does not have that speed anymore.
No.
He does not have the skill of stealing bases like that. So why are you keeping him around? Especially if you're pulling him off the bench. He is a wasted asset.
Yeah. How much money is he making too? I mean, $2 million he made
So
this
he'll
year.
get what? 2.5, 3 next
Yeah,
year?
but
Go
you know
use
what?
it on something else.
Use that on something. Use that $2 million on top of the 18 million or 16 million you're getting rid of with Jose or whatever he's making. Use that for a player. Okay? Like, stop with the nonsense.
A legitimate one. Not one.
Too, they should be able to do it this year because Grandal's contract is done. Okay? $18 million gone. Okay? You're getting rid of that. You're going to have some money next year. Right?
After this, yeah. In 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have some money. Liam Hendrick's money's gone too, I think. Or maybe he was
club option on Lance Lynn.
Yeah, so it's like, do it now because this is your last chance with this team.
Club option on Lynn, club option on Hendricks, club option on TA. I mean, that's going to be nothing. Club option on Joe Kelly, club option on Diekman in 24. All those guys.
So they have options, which is good, right?
Yeah.
But like, you got to supplement it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do the
100%.
right thing. Spend fucking more money and make the right trades. Do not get a reliever. I will have a heart attack. I really think I'll have a heart attack if he signs a reliever.
If anything, what the White Sox should be doing, and one thing they should have learned from this year is during the offseason, you need to shed a reliever.
If I see White Sox sign reliever, blah, 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 I'm going to blow a gasket. I really will. I will freak the fuck out. I might drive to the Sox stadium and bang on Rick Hahn's window.
I don't know which one this is, but if you find out, I'm down. Cary, we are almost at the 45-minute mark. Do you have any final thoughts, comments as we wrap this thing up, as we watch other teams play postseason baseball? As I need a break from baseball, honestly.
I mean, it's depressing to watch. I mean, granted, we had 4 games last year to watch, 4 games.
Right.
Cool. It was still nice to
Game 3 was electric.
I was there. It was great. I mean, I think you were there too. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people from Sox Twitter were there. I mean, that atmosphere was insane, and I don't know why Jerry Reinsdorf and Rick Hahn just don't want that shit again. Rick Hahn's stupid fucking smug smile when asked, should you have your job still? And he's like smiling the whole time. He's like, if I felt my job, if I wasn't doing my job, I'd leave. No, you wouldn't. You have a nice, comfy job. So what I will say to that to wrap up is, Rick Hahn, do your fucking job. Save your image and make the right moves. Don't just say you're going to do the right moves and sign a lefty and get a pitcher. And like he did last year, he laid everything out. Didn't do any of it.
Yep.
Don't just talk, do.
100%.
And I'll shut the fuck up. And I know a lot of people will also shut up.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. I will as well, because this is a guy in Rick Hahn that I thought we could put the future in.
You have a podcast
4 or 5 years ago. Exactly. And 4 or 5 years ago, I was there I was all on. And now the problem is there has not been enough veteran talent, especially on the field, to supplement the youth movement that they built up. Instead, they pushed a bunch of guys in their young 20s out there and said, you guys now go win a championship.
Good luck.
And I am keeping this comment up about my Brian saying that we live in a fantasy land where Jerry goes over 165, 170 million. Here's the thing. I don't think it's a fantasy land because of this past year. 208,330 or 313,226 million. Whatever the number I just said. Sorry, I've been drinking. Over 208 million last year. Okay. I think the White Sox are going to get really close to that again. And the reason why, and I hope Rick Hahn does this, we know Rick Hahn allowed it. He didn't want it. He allowed it. He allowed the Tony La Russa to happen because that was Jerry's boy. And I know he's blown up the budget twice before, but they've underachieved. But this is going to be different. I am convinced that 2023 is going to be different. I don't know why.
Yeah. What's that line from Super Troopers? He's like, I'll believe that when I turn Irish and my shit turns to gold or something like that. Like, no way.
And here's the thing. I thought they were going to keep TLR around for one last hoorah, but they did not. I think health is maybe part of that, but obviously their failures this year is another part of that. And I think this is Jerry's one last hurrah with Rick Hahn and say, you know what, fucker? Here you go. Good luck. Bring us some wins. So, hey, 200 mil, I think they can still get it done. I'll leave it at that.
What I'll say to that is, what the line was is, I'll believe you when me shit turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet. So that's what I say about the different. Not going to happen. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
92 wins, AL Central champs, and go get a fucking pennant. I'm hanging on to that hope, and it's going to take a big free agent signing. I will say that. A big free agent signing that's an actual fucking position player. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We appreciate you in the live comments. We appreciate you listening throughout the podcast airwaves on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever the hell you guys listen to your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. That's why we read off these comments and we laugh at them because they're absolutely absurd sometimes, but they also ground us in our White Sox fandom. So, Cary, as always, it's a pleasure.
Steven.
Signing off. Believe in Southside. Have a good one, everybody.